Now, there's one big difference between me and Adolf Hitler. I do not have a mustache. He did. But both of us use the same phrase, the same sentence to describe ourselves. You see, Adolf Hitler used to say, "My mind is like a calculating machine." And so do I. I always think of myself as a machine. I say to myself things like, "You have an amazing brain," or "You're not functioning today. Your efficiency is low." I measure things. I constantly compare performance. I'm acutely aware of time and how I use time, how it's utilized. It's like there is a meter in my head, and this meter ticks and talks, ticks and talks, a metronome of self-reproach and grandiose assertions. I talk to myself in the third person singular, one step removed, detached, all very scientific and impressive. It lends objectivity and credibility to what I think, as though what I think is coming from an external source, from someone else. And my self-esteem is actually so low that in order to be trusted, I have to disguise myself, to hide myself from myself. It is a pernicious and all-pervasive art of unbeing, not being. I like to think of myself in terms of robots, robotics, or automata. I'm an automaton. There is something so aesthetically compelling in the precision of machines, in the impartiality of devices, in their harmonious embodiment of the abstract. Machines are so powerful and yet so emotionless. They're so invulnerable. They're not prone to be hurting weaklings like I am. Machines don't bleed like I constantly do deep inside. Often I find myself agonizing over the destruction of a laptop in a movie as its owner is blown to smithereens as well. Machines are my family, my folk, my kin. They allow me the tranquil luxury of unbeing on the one hand and becoming through them. I become through machines. And then there is, of course, data. My childhood dream of unlimited access to information has come true, and I'm the happiest person on earth for it. I have been blessed by the internet. Information was power, and not only figuratively when I was growing up. Information took me out of the slum where I was born and into the big, bright, shining, sparkling, glittering, glamorous world. It was knowledge, erudition, learning that extracted me from the hopelessness and dead-endedness of my childhood and the horrible life-threatening abuse that I've endured for 12 years. Information was a dream. Knowledge was the dream. Reality was the surrealistic nightmare that I woke to every morning. I was woke, but I was woke to a nightmare. I had taken my red pill long before anyone had dreamed of the Matrix. My knowledge was my flying info carpet. It took me away from the slums of my childhood, from the atavistic social milieu of my adolescence, from the sweat, from the stench of the army, and into the perfumed existence of international finance and media exposure. So I love knowledge. I love books. I love information. Even in the darkness of my deepest valleys, I was not afraid. I carried with me my metal constitution, my robotic countenance, my superhuman knowledge, my inner timekeeper, my theory of morality and my very own divinity. I carried with me my false self. When women left me, and they all did, I discovered the hollowness, the emptiness, the void of it all. It was in those times that I experienced my true self consciously in a process of mortification. It was a void I discovered. I don't exist. Annulment, a gaping abyss. Abyss, almost audible abyss. Hellish, iron fist gripping where my heart should have been, tearing my chest apart, and there's nothing there. It was horror. Mortification was horror. It was transubstantiation of my blood and flesh into something primordial and screaming. It was then that I came to realize that my childhood had been horrible, difficult, threatened my life, so I had declined to live, threatened my inner peace, so I externalized my innards, threatened my growth, so I stopped growing. At the time, it seemed to me to be as natural as sunrise, as inevitable as pain, my childhood. But now I realize what I've been through, the torture chambers, the likes of which only the most extreme dictatorial regimes, the Nazis in extermination camps, have enacted. And I went through my own extermination camp for 12 years. But in hindsight, my childhood was devoid of any emotional expression. It was abusive to the extreme. Mind you, I was not sexually abused, but I was physically, verbally, and psychologically tormented, tortured, actually, for 16 years. And there was not 1 minute of respite. From the moment I woke up in the morning, and I tried not to wake up as often as I could, but from the moment I woke up finally, to the very moment I went to sleep, and usually even after, I had been tortured, including physically, in the most horrendous ways you can imagine, and in many, many ways, trust me, that you can never imagine. And so I grew up to be a narcissist.